alive now. Said he's alive. Said he's alive. He's not dead. So grateful that he lives. Oh, come on, it just says, come on, our God is risen. He's alive now. He's alive now.
So if you guys haven't heard about Gospel Piano Charts yet, which is going to be a new app we're putting out, that's going to feature all transcriptions, not just what's in the program, but it's going to go way beyond the scope of charts available in the program. And that's where you'll be able to see how I really transcribe a 6-minute song to fit on a single page using repeats and all of that stuff, and how to section songs. So if you guys haven't jumped on the lifetime member deal for Gospel Piano Charts yet, we still have a few slots available. Go to gospelpianocharts.com for more details, or you could just email me. At this point, you guys can reach me anywhere. You could just email me. Now let's go back and talk about the foundational structure that we always need to get out of the way first. So before you start transcribing a song, you need to get the harmonic rhythm out of the way, the key signature out of the way, the time signature. Not necessarily in this particular order, but those 3 things you want to establish before you start writing chords down, because that's the framework, that's the structure. Equate it to building a house. If you say you got a plot of land, you're going to build a house. First thing you need to determine is how big is this house going to be? Square footage, right? That would sort of be the equivalent of figuring out what key am I in. The key will help you dictate what the chords are, right? So then you might decide how many stories do you want. Are we building a 1-story house, 2-story house, 3-story house? That would be sort of like the time signature, like how many counts is in a measure. So these are structural, important decisions that we have to make up front. So let's go back and listen and talk about it. I'm just pick a random section.
Yes, he has.
So this is the pulse. 1.
It all.
1.
So every voice we sing hallelujah
4. 1.
on the victory.
Right? So that's the pulse. Now that we know what the pulse are, how to count, then we go back and say, all right, now, what is our harmonic rhythm? Harmonic rhythm simply gives you an idea how many chords are supposed to belong in a measure. Now, this is not going to be a hard and fast rule, like if we say the harmonic rhythm is 2 chords per measure. Not every measure is going to have 2 chords, but a lot of them will, right? Now, the song, hallelujah, that's sort of like the A section of the song, right? This song doesn't really follow sort of traditional verse chorus. I guess you could think about it that way, but like if we would go right back to the beginning, if we go to the beginning of the song, he starts, that's also oftentimes referred to as the hook. It's that most popular part of the song. It's what the song's usually known for, right? So we can kind of call that, chorus, hook, A section, all of those terminologies work. Right? Now this part now would be like the chorus, the verse.
I strive, we are healed.
So verse, right?
Eyes never pierced, hands we're free.
Now you might say, Warren, why didn't you include that in the transcription? Because it's the same chords, right, as the chorus. So there isn't anything necessarily new there. So I figured, yeah, we could skip it. But I'm going through all of this for you to understand that what we're really starting on is the chorus of the song, right? So, which is the 2-minute 2:02 mark, somewhere there. So that's the part we're going to listen for to see if we can figure out what the harmonic rhythm
Every
is.
voice, we sing
1,
harmonic
2, 3, 4. Chord,
on the victory.
chord, 2, chord, 2, chord, 2.
I'm so glad that he's alive. Sing.
Chord, 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 2.
You have won it all.
Chord, chord,
And we say death could not hold.
chord, chord.
You're alive and well.
So you realize that that chorus section is pretty much following 2 chords per measure, then 1 chord per measure, 2 chords per measure. So that's sort of the harmonic rhythm we're working on. So you know where to put those bar lines. How am I identifying where there's a chord and where there's not a chord? Well, there's 2 variables we're listening for. First one's the bass movement. You can hear the bass moving. And you're counting how long those bass notes are moving for. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So that's how we establish the harmonic rhythm. We're listening to the bass, how it's moving. But remember I said there's 2 variables because we can't just listen to the bass alone. Because sometimes the bass man might do a little improv run, which might include 3, 4 other notes. And you might think, oh, so those are chord changes as well. No, they're just an improvised line over the overall chord structure. So the second variable that we listen for to identify the chord, the harmonic rhythm, is the overall harmony. You're going to hear a change in the harmonic structure. So for example, with this, that's 1 chord, but you can tell this is a completely different chord. This is another different chord. So we're listening to the bass, but we're also listening to the overall shift of the harmony that, yes, this is a new chord. So we count that as a separate chord. So that's how we go about establishing the harmonic rhythm. Now the key signature, which is the home for where the chord lives. How do you go about identifying the key signature? One of the best places, usually we look at the cadences. So usually I always recommend, even though I said transcribe from the 2-minute mark to the 3-minute 47-second mark, that doesn't mean you only listen to that section of the song. It's always a good practice to listen to the entire song, the whole 7-minute, for context. Because it gives you an idea, okay, how many times certain things repeat, where the cadences are. So for example, we have Hallelujah, you have won the victory. That's a cadence. A cadence just simply means the end of a phrase. And it also typically coincides with the end of a sentence structure. Hallelujah, you have won the victory. That's a complete statement. At the end of victory, you would put a period because that's a complete sentence, a complete statement, and usually also where you find the cadence. So in this case, it's a half cadence because we're on the 5, right? That couldn't hold you down. You are the living king. So a lot of the cadences are happening on the 5, right? Those half cadences. By his stripes we are healed. Again, right? So they kind of avoid going too much to the 1. But if you listen to the melodic line, if you pick out the melodic line, you listen to the different chord movements, you realize all those chords belong to the key of B flat major. So now that we know the key is B flat, we can start analyze the chords based on what the bass is doing. So we know the melody is, that's the melody. Hallelujah. But if we listen carefully, what's the, excuse me, what's the bass is playing there? Can you identify the bass?
Every voice, we sing harmonic.
Might need to slow down the video a little bit, but I could clearly hear that bass movement walking up from the 6 to the 7, to the 1. Now, one of the first things I always tell you when you're transcribing a song is you match the bass note with its diatonic chord. So the bass starts on a G. The first place to start is match it with its diatonic chord. So you can say, oh, it's a 6, then a 7, then a 1. Then the second thing you do is test that against the recording. Now, when you test it against the recording, something going to sound a little off. Right?
So every voice,
here we go.
We sing hallelujah.
So you'll hear that the bass sounds right, but the chord sounds a little bit strange. So we have to dig deeper. And we always then say, well, we want to be certain we have the correct bass note. In this case, I'm certain. So then the next thing we look at is, well, what if the G is not the root of the chord? So then we're not working with a G minor. What else could it be? So then we have to look at all the other diatonic chords that has a G in it. That leaves us with E flat and C minor. You're going to hear quickly that the C minor isn't it. It doesn't match what you're hearing in the song. So by a process of elimination, it would have to be an E flat. And it would also match hand in glove.
We sing hallelujah.
The same thing here. When we play that A diminished, you'll go, doesn't sound like what I'm hearing in the song. So then we default to what other chords in the key has an A in it. We have two options as well here. It would be either an F major or a D minor. We'd quickly hear that it's not a D minor. By a process of elimination, it would be the F major. Now, this is what we call a typical walk-up in gospel, when the bass is moving in stepwise motion. And we have a rule for that. Where there is a stepwise motion, ascending or descending in the bass, there will be slash chords in the mids. Wherever you have that bass moving in stepwise motion, there's going to be slash chords. That's how Western music is designed. Because if not, we end up with a bunch of parallel chords in root position that doesn't sound right. So to make it sound right from a voicing perspective, we play slash chords. And this is a typical example. 4 in first inversion, hallelujah. 5 in first inversion, hallelujah, to the 1. Now, let's check out some other, let's keep it going.
Sing hallelujah.
We're following that bass. Where does it go after that?
On the victory.
So that's what I heard. Move up from the 1 to the 2 to the 6 to the 5. So then first step, match the diatonic chords. Even if you're not sure, start there. We always want to start there. It's a good place to start. So now we have hallelujah. You have won the victory. And right off the bat, it sounds correct to my ear. So we didn't have to go any further. If you just match the diatonic chords like that, you'd be right. Now you might see me doing stuff like this, adding in the 7. We call these tendency tones, meaning we don't necessarily listen for them, we just play them anyways. Standard in gospel, right? We play a lot of triads as 7th chords. If it's a minor chord, we play a minor 7. Now, we don't always do the same for major chords. So we're not going to say because it's a major, we just play a major 7, because a major 7 creates a little bit of dissonance because we have that going on. It creates more dissonance. So it doesn't always work. So we can't use it as a blanket rule to say, if you play a major chord, just play a major 7. With the minor chords, however, it doesn't really create a tension within the chord because we don't have any minor intervals, minor second intervals clashing. The chord is built on minor thirds, major thirds, or a second if we look at the distance between the 7 and the root up the octave. So it doesn't really create much tension, which is why we can use a blanket rule to say whenever you play a minor chord, just play it as a minor seventh. So when you see me playing these chords as sevenths, it's not that I'm necessarily hearing the seventh. I'm just adding them. So that's why I call them tendency. We have a tendency to do this regardless if it's present or not. That's how we treat it as pianists. So we know we have hallelujah. For the 2, you have won the victory to the 5. And here's another tendency tone that we like to use on major chords, the add 9. Now, if your hands can't do that stretch, you can just play it like that. So here you can use a blanket rule. Whenever you play a major chord, regardless of style, just play with the add 9. It will sound good. So again, when we're listening for transcribing chords, we're not necessarily hearing 9s and hearing 7s. We just add them because they're tendency tones. They make the chord sound good and they don't create any added excessive dissonance, right? So that's why we can use them all the time. So that's all of the chorus. Hallelujah. You have won the victory. Now, when we go to the B section of this chorus, death could not hold you down. It's the same chords. So if we listen to the bass.
I'm so glad that he's alive. Sing. Burn it all. And we say death could not
B section. Follow the bass. All that type of chords. 4, 6, 5. Repeat. Now changes. Listen. So a lot of people might get tripped up here, and this is why it's always important to listen to the entire section, even if it's repeated. Oftentimes, especially in gospel music, they switch out chords. So even though the melodic structure stays the same, they might change a chord. So right here towards the end of that phrase, they change the chord. You wanna, death could not hold you down. Right? You are the risen King. So they repeat this a bunch of times. I think 4 times. The majesty. And then that last time, instead of going to the 4, they go to the 2. Then back to the 6. To the 5. So instead of going back to the 4, they went to the relative minor of that 4, which is the 2. And then keep everything else the same. And we could tell that because you listen again, that's why we trace that bass diligently, right? We got to trace that bass because the clue is always going to be in that bass. All right, so that's what's going on there in that section. Let's see if we can check out the next section.
Stretch out your hands, stretch out your hands, stretch them out.
Now, this section, I'm calling it the bridge, right? Now, why am I calling it the bridge? One, it's a different melodic structure, different text structure. Chords are still similar, but you can still hear that, it's transitioning to a different section of the song. And it's nothing that has come before. Before we had a verse, even though we didn't transcribe it, but I played it for you earlier. We have a verse. The song starts with a chorus, goes to a verse, and then comes back to the chorus, repeats a bunch of time. Now here we are going into a new section of the song. So whenever we're trying to label sections, that's how we do it. We start with a verse or a chorus. As soon as a new section comes, we can label it a bridge, right? Because it's different. So what's going on harmonically here?
Stretch out your hands, stretch out your hands.
6 to 5. Now what's going on? Same progression. Right? 4, 6, 5. 4, 6, 5. 4, 6.
Come on, it just says, come on, our God is risen. He's alive now.
And it keeps going. And then after that, they go back to the chorus. Hallelujah. So that's it. That's all to the anthem. Again, which is why I didn't give you guys a whole 6 minutes, because it's repeated. And the purpose of Transcription Club is to get you understanding how to identify chords and how to write them out in the form of chord charts. All right? So compare what you've learned in this video to your transcription. This is usually the homework after you submit a transcription. You need to go back and do an analysis. What did Warren present? What did you do? If they're not 100% correct, why? You want to ask the why. And it's not a way to beat up yourself. You're trying to make a mental note or even a physical note. You can write yourself notes, reminders. Because ear training is heavily memory. We're training our ears, or rather our brain, because the actual ear is just the vehicle to send the information to the brain. The brain is what processes such information. So we want to make a mental note to the brain to say, okay, I did this wrong, and this was my thought process that led me to this conclusion. So now in the future, I need to remember, when this situation arises, don't do this, but do that. You know what I mean? That's how we all learn transcription. That's how our ears develop. It is a slow process, and it's going to be a lot of trial and error, but you want to make sure with each new transcription, you come out just a little bit better than you were. And part of how you come out better is to just take a few minutes, do a comparative analysis of what you produce, what I produce, see where you went wrong, make mental notes or physical notes of these differences. And in the next one, you'll get better. And in the next one, you'll get better. And this is how we do it. Take care.